All right, I am going to declare us live as I do every Tuesday at 2:30. No weeks off here. We take on the Corrales Puntacana Championship following the U.S. Open. I got a lot of questions, so I'll provide some answers, but it's going to be more of a Q&A style because, first of all, Tim, I don't think we've ever done a show on this. What is the reason for that? It's an alt event normally?
Yeah, it used to be, like an alternate field. I believe this was the Puerto Rico Open, or no, I don't even know.
No, I don't think
To be
those are the
honest with
same
you,
things.
I'm not even gonna pretend like I know. No clue. We
Okay.
probably just never did a show for this because it's such a bad event, and we're just like, no, we're not having it. But as you said, the contests are not as bad as I thought they were gonna be.
No doubt.
So yeah, it's kind of. I guess we should probably talk about it, but it's a heck of a way to back up a major and a really strong 10 weeks of golf. It's like, wow, we really just went off the cliff with this one.
It was, yeah. I mean, we have FedEx Cup to U.S. Open to alt field event. Listen, we got to give a shout out, obviously, to Bryson. You've talked heavily on the show, and I think you've nailed this, and we've come to this conclusion. When Bryson plays, the upside is never in question. It's the downside. He's very volatile, but we know when he tees it up, the way he plays is high risk, high reward.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't like Bryson last week, so definitely not a victory lap. I didn't think I said on the show I thought easier courses would be more up his alley, but yeah, definitely just the way that he plays is so high variance that from week to week you're going to get really bad results, but when he's playing well, you're going to see what he did. That was just dominant performance on Sunday out of him. I mean, the approach game was good. I think he led the field in approach. We know he can putt. The driver is he's the best driver of the ball in the game as far as strokes gained off the tee. So yeah, when he's got it rolling, he probably is the best player in the world. I would say if every golfer played their absolute best, I'm guessing he would win. Now he's not going to play his best as often. He's not as consistent as DJ, JT, Rory. But boy, the putter gets going, the driver gets going. If the irons are there, he's almost impossible to beat, I would say. I don't know. I don't want to overreact, but I mean, he was so good. It's hard to not overreact.
It is it's one of these things. This is going to sound weird. I didn't like Bryson last week. Seeing that he won, though, was not surprising in a lot of ways. Because I know that this is in his game. I just didn't think it would be extracted at Wingfoot, but you got to give him credit. He has a plan and he believes in it. And I'm not going to say everyone is going to start to try to do things like this, but clearly he has shown that maybe golf was a little unsolved and he's just doing it differently and maybe more effective on these courses. Even the courses where every week it's like, well, you can't hit it in the rough here. His theory is working out more often than not.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you're not first, you're last, right? It doesn't matter. He's not trying to finish T20 or T15 or T10. It doesn't matter. I guess the problem. It seems like the only way they can, and I mean, it played hard. It played very difficult. I think on Thursday it was maybe a little bit easier than people expected, but then the rest of the days. But the rough, I just don't know. There was not. It's like they can't make the rough thick enough.
Yeah, I don't.
Or deep enough. I don't know what the answer is. Literally, halfway up your calf, 8-inch high rough. I don't know. But there's still just it wasn't. It didn't matter. Missing the fairway, the length was still a huge advantage. I'm annoyed. I let a lot of guys I liked. I didn't play because I thought the really difficult conditions were going to be tough. Scared me away from playing. Wolf, Kokrak, who faded but still was probably a good play at 6,800. A lot of those guys, I went for the grinders and they sucked. So,
but your boy Will Z, who we'll get to in a bit, strokes gained hole-in-one. I didn't know that he was a hole-in-one specialist.
Well, yeah, you got to check the stats. Hole-in-one percentage is probably the most important stat in DFS golf
lately. No, I mean, there's a new thing in DFS. If you're over 25% owned, you automatically get a hole-in-one. So keep that in mind as we go to Corrales here. Let's go in chat. Tim, I mean, this is a course I'm obviously pretty unfamiliar with. It's a par 72. It's going to be, I mean, it's not even going to be relatable to what we saw last week, but just overall, did anything stand out? This is a resort course, so I'm assuming it's going to be pretty gettable.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because it's long. It's
It is long.
7,600 yards, which is really long. Par 72. I believe it's past Palom greens, like we've seen at like Puerto Rico, Mayakoba. It looks a lot similar to Mayakoba, but it's a lot longer of a course. But the thing that was really strange to me is really long par 72. And you look back last year, Graham McDowell won at -18 with Mackenzie Hughes, Chris Stroud, and Jonathan Bird chasing, which just like four old, well, not Hughes isn't old, but not long hitters at all. Like old guys, short hitters. That seems strange. You go back 2018, the first year they played here, Bryce Garnett won it, an old, crafty short hitter. Keith Mitchell was second. But yeah, it would seem the short hitters seem to have really a lot of success here, which seems strange. I don't know how to explain it. There's a couple different ways I could explain it. One is small sample size. We've only played 2 events here. Another is there's no elite players playing this event, right? Like all the elite guys are mega long. You take those guys out of the field, it's kind of like I don't know, it's more wide open. And I think the shorter hitters kind of have a better chance to contend when you don't have Rory, Rahm, JT. You know, I think we look at these really strong field events and we say, oh, they all favor the Bombers, Augusta, Memorial, Riviera, because there's all long hitters at the top of the leaderboard. Well, that's because they're the best players in the world. You take those guys out, I think the shorter hitters can contend, even though it might not be the best course for them. So I don't know. It's hard to explain why at a 7,600-yard par 72, old short hitters have had success. I don't know.
I think I'm going to wait to, we only have 2 years and we have it's going to be a combination of what you just said. We only have 2 years of data and we have fields that are limited in knowledge. Like a lot of these guys, we don't see that often. We think we know their games, but they're either really young on tour or they're not the best player. Like there's just a lot of different variables that we normally aren't factoring in.
So yeah. I mean, I'm not going out of my way to target short hitters thinking this is a short hitter's course. I just thought it was weird that those were the guys that had success, but I'm going into it like I'm trying to play the best players and I'm not going to get bogged down in course fit this week.
Yeah, I don't think you really want to dig in too much, but it's just a situation. Listen, you're going to have to attack these par 5s. The field is the field. We're all playing the same guys. It's going to look different, and there's no better time to get into it. So we're going to dive in. I will ask, chat, this is a good question. Do we get Shot Tracker this week? I don't know the answer to that. I think the answer is no. If anybody has this inside information, because we have the best viewers in the world, they know people, let me know. And then I'll pawn it off like I know on tomorrow night's show.
Let me know so I know how many entries.
Yeah, that too.
Like if I can't, or like a 150.
Yikes!
I would be shocked if there's Shot Tracker. I don't think there will be.
I don't think there will be. We kick things off with a guy. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Will Zalatoris is 10,900. Corey Connors, Mackenzie Hughes, Sam Burns. That's the big 4 of this tournament. I mean, being serious, because obviously we're really going to try to break this down. Can you play a guy like Will Zalatoris at this price and this ownership, given that we've seen really just one good start from him at this level?
I mean, I think you can. I'm going to go back to what I said last week, is that we don't know. I mean, if he is the next Colin Morikawa, the next Jon Rahm, then we'll still look back and we'll say, oh, remember that time that Will Zalatoris was 10-9? I mean, he should have been a lock button play. I don't know. I mean, I think he's playable. I like him better than Corey Connors and Mackenzie Hughes, who I think it's just ridiculous to pay 10-6 and 10-3 for those guys here. Zalatoris, at least you have the out of maybe we're getting a generational player in an awful field at 10-9. And he's coming off the 6th at the U.S. Open. The ball striking was great. I know we made fun of the hole-in-one, but he gained 9.3. with the ball striking. And he's been the best player on the Corn Ferry Tour. I still prefer Burns to him at 10-1, but he would be my second favorite above 10K. I think Connors and Hughes, sorry, Team Canada, you just nuke those guys from your player pool right there. Burns, to me, I've liked Burns for a long time. Made 6 of 8 cuts since the Travelers. All were T32 or better. The ball striking has been really good, plus 6.6 at the Safeway, plus 6.0 at Wyndham, plus 6.5 at 3M. So 4 of his last 6 starts, he's gained at least 5 strokes with the ball striking. We know he's long. We know he can putt. He hasn't quite put it all together. But I like Burns at 10-1. I guess he'd be my favorite play, but I think you can go to Wilsey. I don't know. If the ownership is crazy, I probably don't love that, but I think you can go there.
Listen, if I had to rank the top 4, Burns would clearly be 1. I think Wilsey would be 2. Him and Connors would be pretty close. Mackenzie Hughes would be by far last. But I really have a tough time playing listen, this guy, you can look at the Corn Ferry results, and he is clearly dominating down there. It's not like, oh, he's holding his own. He is not. This guy's a tour level player, but what I'm saying is, even if he is as good as you're saying, maybe those guys at that point in their career, I don't know if I would have played them, even knowing what I know now. Like, I'm not sure I would have paid close to 11K for them in a field like this.
The thing that gets me is, do you know how many events on the Corn Ferry Tour he's won this year?
I have no.
He's won once, and it's okay. Like, and he's been great. He's got a ton of top 5s, and we saw last week.
The talent is through the roof. He gained across the board.
Right. He played amazing, but it's like, if you told me this guy is coming off the Corn Ferry Tour and he's the most expensive player in this field, and it's a bad field, how many times has he won? I would say, he's probably won like 3 times on the Corn Ferry Tour. He's only won once, and he's played well. I mean, but it is a little concerning to me that he has only won once, because, I mean, you're going to need him to be right there, obviously, if you're paying 10-9 for him. Like a T7 probably doesn't get it done.
Yeah, and listen, with the win equity so messed up in a tournament like this, I get it. Like, you're going to have some room, but I still don't think, I'll put it this, I don't think you evaluate him just on talent. I really don't. Like, Sam Burns is someone that I've seen dozens of times compete in fields stronger than this, hold his own. Wilsey has a more impressive finish than anyone in this field probably, but other than that, he's got a lot of success on the Corn Ferry Tour and a lot of miscuts a couple years ago on this tour. So I'd say just be a little cautious. If he pushes 30%, there's 0% chance I get over that.
Yeah. The T6 at the US Open actually got him more official world golf ranking points than the win on the Corn Ferry Tour. So by official world golf ranking, that was his best finish ever.
It's hard to argue with that.
The problem is like, I want to poke a bunch of holes in the reasons to play him. But then you look and see, like, well, who are we going to play over him? And you're like, okay, am I going to pay $9,900 for Adam Long? Like, and it seems bad all the way around. So
that's where we'll go next, obviously. And that's a very fair point. It's easy to poke holes in plays this week because everyone is overpriced. You got to play someone. And at the 9K range, we've got some names it's an interesting bucket. We have some young guys like Ventura. We've got Detry is here. I kind of find that pretty wild. Yeah, my boy. Then we have Stenson.
He could be like, if I would rather go down in flames with Stenson than a lot of these other guys. And honestly, that thought just popped in my head right now. But I'd rather take a shot with him.
So
and if
would
he's
I.
awful, at least you're saying, hey, we got like a world-class player for $9,500 in an awful field, and we swung and we missed, but it feels better than like playing. I'm so sick of Grillo at $9,800. These guys, he's being priced okay, so the betting market is basically just public opinion, right? He doesn't have to be good. If people are pumping money into him every week, the odds are going to be all out of whack. He has done nothing to warrant being 25-1 in this field. I mean, T29 at the Safeway, T44 at the Northern Trust, T66 at the PGA. I mean, the stats are good, but like, at what point, what has he really done to warrant a $9,800 price tag besides strike the ball great and have everyone following him? Like, at some point, the results have to match what the price is and what the outright odds are.
No, there's something to that. Obviously, statistically, his tee to green game is probably better than everyone else in the field.
It is.
But he never putts. And you're going to need to make your fair share. He's got one top 10 dating all the way back to June of 2019. And that top 10 was at the 3M in July.
At some point, like, I love ball striking more than anybody in the world, like, literally, probably.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, at some point, the goal is to get the ball in the hole, not just to hit a great drive and hit a great iron. Like, at some point, you have to do something to warrant being 9,900 and to warrant being 25-1 and have people be betting you. And he just hasn't done it. If you just looked at the results and not the name or the stats, you would say this guy should be like 7,500.
Wow. Hate. I mean, listen, I don't have a strong take on him. You know that I'm a fan, but the results, they don't really lead me to him in this spot. I'm not firmly against it. I'll probably have some. The guy I want to talk about, we've talked about Stenson. Danny McCarthy has had I don't want to say like a resurgence, but he is striping it better than he has basically ever on tour. The putting hasn't been as fire, but it's certainly still good. This is the type of guy I think could win the tournament because he has got that lethal combo, and everyone is now thinking that Mackenzie Hughes, who's putting out of his mind as well, but like Danny McCarthy still is one of the best putters in the world.
Yeah. And he's actually hitting the ball better than Mackenzie Hughes. And I've been on McCarthy. He was great at Wyndham. So he gained 1 point. This is where we kind of got on board. He gained 1.3 with the ball striking at the PGA. Then he was amazing at Wyndham, gained 6.9. He gained 4.2 at Northern Trust. I mean, these are really, really good numbers for him, who is a guy that was just god awful with the ball striking and just made every putt. I mean, so for him to be consistently gaining has been amazing. Now, he missed the cut at the Safeway. He didn't hit it that bad. He was right around even. I like him. I mean, even the missed cut with right around even ball striking, you know, his last four starts, I mean, have been solid. Like, he's kind of been trending. Different surface. I don't know if he probably didn't like the Poe at the Safeway. So different surface. I like McCarthy. I mean, he's expensive, but I'd play him easily over Mackenzie Hughes.
I agree with that. We'll see. Chat's pointing out that he might be really popular. Ownership's going to be important for me this week. I think these guys are all pretty even, give or take some small margins. So I will play a little of the ownership game, but we'll have to wait and see on that. I'm a Thomas Detry guy. He played in this tournament last year. He came in 33rd. He made the cut last week. I think this is a little much for him, though. Do you have any interest in targeting a relatively unknown player?
No, not really. No. I mean, I know he's got a couple seconds recently in those terrible European Tour events, but no, I mean, same boat as last. I don't put as much stock. Sorry, I don't put as much stock in the European Tour, especially these recent events that have had really, really bad fields. I think it looks great on paper when you come in with, 7 made cuts in a row and a couple runners up, but you have to realize just not as good of I mean, in general, the tour just isn't as good. And then you take out all of the great players. And I mean, those finishes just don't mean a lot to me. And I think you saw a lot of those guys in the US Open that people were excited to play, even though they didn't garner a lot of ownership. They were kind of like the trendy picks. None of those guys fared well last week. No,
the Rasmus Højgaards of the world.
Yeah, Højgaard was like dead last.
Yeah, that was whatever. That's not neither here nor there. All right, do you want to move on? Do you want to talk Ventura, Brandon Grace, anyone else in the nines?
Wow, Stenson gained 2.8 with the approach last week. That's
Listen,
real. It's reeling me in.
I'll go down with Stenson over all these other guys any day of the week.
Yeah, maybe we should be playing him. No, I mean Ventura I think will be popular as well because he's played well. He's kind of bounced back and forth between the Korn Ferry Tour and the PGA Tour, and a lot of the really good finishes have been on the Korn Ferry Tour. But no, I don't have a lot of interest. For me, I think it's Denny McCarthy and Stenson, and a lot of prayer.
A lot of prayer. 8K range. We've got some guys. We kick it off with Charlie Hoffman, and we end it with Patrick Rogers, who I actually do really like. But in between, we've got, Matthias Schwab, Luke List, Shank, who never misses a cut, that Kyle Stanley, some other guys. I'm going to throw out, I think Luke List sets up really well here, but he is so bad with the putter. If you're going to rip on Griot, wouldn't you say the same about him?
I literally would just repeat everything I said about Griot. The thing about List, though, is he did win on the Korn Ferry Tour. So he at least has a top result at some point in like the last 12 weeks. But him, the same thing. I mean, it's just like the putting so bad, and the results just don't match up with like where he's priced and people's expectation of what he's going to do. And again, I try to follow the ball striking, but at some point when it just seems like week in and week out, not even close with the putter and the results. I mean, you have to be able to look at the results and separate them from the stats. A lot of times we like to separate the stats and look for kind of hidden gems, but I mean, if you're just looking at results and all you're seeing is miscuts and T50s, and it's like, I don't know. It's hard to pay the 8,700. I actually like Hoffman a lot at 8,900.
Okay.
He seems to be kind of trending in the right direction. Was good at the workday. Was good, really good at the Northern Trust. Gained 6.1 strokes with the ball striking. He was T13 there. It was just kind of okay at the Safeway. But I mean, there's just not a lot of guys in this field that are kind of, I don't want to call him a premier name, but a decent name, a guy that could definitely win this event if he's playing well. 8,900, I think, is a good price. One at Mayakoba, which I think is a comparable track to this. I mean, I like him. You're just not going to find. You're either going to find good names that are playing awful, or awful players that are playing well. There's not a lot of this guy's actually a good golfer and he's playing well, so you're gonna have to pick your poison.
Hoffman is one of those classic guys right now where at different points over the last 5-6 events something has popped, but at the same time other things are going away. Like at workday, he gained 6 strokes putting, followed up with a terrible miscut at the 3M where he lost 5 strokes on the approach. Only a couple weeks later, he gained 7 strokes with the approach at the Northern Trust. So it's all there. It's just about putting it together. And that always breeds potential home run play because the downside is immense on the other side. So I get that. I tell you, what caught my eye, and it's a guy that was super popular. Like, he's old news now, and his game has fallen off, is Norlander. He was playing so good a couple months ago, but the form is really dissipated. Any interest, or is he another just can't putt, can't play?
Yeah, I don't think it's not at 8,600. I mean, he seemed like a much better play at the end of last year when he was like 6,800 and playing well. Now he's kind of, the game has fallen off and he's expensive just because it's a bad field. No, I would not go there. For Hoffman, I would take my chances with List and pray to God he could putt. Even a guy like Schwab, who I think is a much more talented golfer than Norlander.
Patrick Rogers? No,
he's
really?
Just so boring. I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like, lock in your T35 with him, maybe. Let me check the tape on Rogers and see what we've got here in some recent.
His irons are broken.
negative 14 strokes ball striking at the Northern Trust. He did better at the Safeway. He was only -1 at the Safeway.
Yeah, so if you follow that, if he increases by 14 again, he's going to win going away.
So in his last 3 events, he's basically lost 17 strokes off the tee and on approach. I don't think I'm going to go there.
Okay. He is gaining consistently off the tee and with the putter. That is a formula that Cameron Champ, I don't really put Bryson in there, but kind of, and Wolf do at times. Patrick Rodgers, I didn't think was a good putter. I think I might be wrong on that. He's starting to prove it more than consistently. So keep that in mind. Xingzun Zhang.
He just seemed to come out of nowhere to
He's nuts.
Be 8,400. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think that's a combination of a good finish here 2 years ago, T5, a good finish in his last start, T14. You take those away, and he's like 6,700. But I don't know. So, no, I don't like him. Boom. You know who has the best course history here? I don't know where he's priced.
Who?
Kelly Craft, 5th.
Oh, yeah. I saw that actually. And the thing about it is, honestly, if your guy is playing here consistently, that's not the best sign. I really believe that. Like, this is a tournament you don't want to play in.
Yeah, this is like, it's like Crash Davis leading the minor leagues in home runs. Like, it's not what you want. So you're a very bad golfer if you play here every year.
Yeah. Chad asked about Straka. We can bounce him. I don't have a strong take. I think he's fine. He's shown some flashes, but didn't stand out.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that I will always look at every week because I feel like a little bit like a Taylor Gooch, we see these nuke hot performances out of him where he just is striping the ball. But I don't know. Haven't seen a lot out of him lately. I mean, the numbers just haven't been as good unless I missed something. And that price is pretty expensive. Yeah, I mean, 3M, he was great. But, I mean, his last 4 events, plus 3.1 is the best that he's done in the ball striking department. So, no, I don't think I can pay 9,300 for him this week.
Yeah, I don't have much. All right, let's keep it moving. I do want to say real quick a couple things, a little housekeeping action. One, you guys know this, but hitting the like button helps and it's much appreciated. Also, if you don't, for some reason, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. We have so many shows. That's the best way to keep track of them. We have so much good stuff going on outside the PGA world with NFL obviously taking over, NBA playoffs, baseball, MMA and NASCAR are still going strong, but we just have so much content on the NFL right now. Best time to get in the ropes. Awesemo Plus, weekly, monthly, annually. We have a package for you. That's one of my favorite things about the site. Go to awesemo.com/join and build your own package. Find out what works for you. Don't get a package that has stuff that you don't need. Find the one that works for you. It's the most cost effective. So go and do that. Give us a try. I'm doing a college football show on Saturdays, by the way. Quick plug for that.
That show is fire. It's the best. Yeah, that's the best show on the whole.
I don't know about that, but great show. I really do enjoy it, and we have the SEC this week coming back, so we're gonna build some. I'm not gonna derail this show, Tim, but what did Chubba, our man Chubba Hubbard last week? My goodness,
needed like the late touchdown to just get the double-digit fantasy points.
Yeah, his rushing prop was almost 200 yards, and just he didn't.
Was that the worst? I think that was the worst offensive performance I've ever seen out of like a major team.
It was pathetic. I watched that game. Whew.
That was one of the worst offensive performances I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was ugly, but all right. Here we go. God, do I want to mention Stanley? Yeah, I kind of do want to mention Kyle Stanley, but man, I took a close look at him before the show. The tee to green game is coming along, but he again fits the bucket of List and Griot. You're starting to get more wiggle room with the price, though.
Yeah, 8,100 is a little more palatable. It's like if he comes in T40, it's not optimal, but it's your expectation is not that you need a top 10 out of Kyle Stanley. I don't mind him. Was decent at the Safeway. Was good at the Barracuda. Ball striking was great at the 3M. Yeah, I like it. I think you could talk me into Stanley. This is not a range that I really I like a lot. I think there's some guys in the mid to low 7 range, but the upper 7s, kind of lower 8s. I don't know. Maybe he might be the best play there.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, you have some names, particular bombers. Like I think Keith Mitchell and Johnny Vegas will get some interest just because they can attack these par fives. They can really score. I, I'm not a guy, as you know, I don't think you are either, that likes to play these borderline made up people. But this guy now, he's gotten some reps and his price hasn't adjusted. Like Will Gordon is 7K in stronger fields than this. I was actually pretty surprised to see him at 7,600 here.
Yeah, I think we're in the same boat. I have him written down here. I like him a lot. The off the tee game in the last two events has been really, really good. Gained 6.1 off the tee at the Safeway. Everything else was bad there, so not a good finish. But he gained 5.7. Or no, that's the ball striking. The off the tee, yeah, I think he gained 4 strokes off the tee at Wyndham and was decent on the approach. So the last two events, the off the tee was amazing, and Wyndham's not even a driver heavy course. So I like him. And I mean, like we said, we don't know a lot about this course as far as course fit. But at 7,600 yards, I mean, off the tee has to be somewhat important. So I like him. Another guy, a lot of talent, and you're not having to pay up for it. Like, Zalatoris, I'm not saying Will Gordon's in the same class, but I mean, it's nice to get the talent and not have to pay 10.5, 10.6 for it. It's like it's a palatable price.
And just for the record, and I think you would acknowledge this, even though I don't think this is the case, and neither do you, we also could look back the other way and be like, do you remember when Will Zalatoris was the leading price in a PGA Tour event, and that guy didn't even keep his card? Like, he's just gone in a year?
Wow, that's it. You just put that out on the internet.
Nope.
Someone's going to use that
Nope.
against you.
Yeah, when you splice it. Like, I'm serious, though. Like, Will Gordon could have a much better career than Will Z. I doubt that happens, but it's in flux both ways. We just don't know.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm with you on Gordon. He's hit it well. He's had at least one really good finish, and the price is good. I don't mind Mitchell at 7,600. He has a second here. The ball striking's kind of been up and down, but you're not, again, 7,600 in this field, not a bad price. But I think I'd play Will Gordon over him. Seems to be a little bit more consistent than Keith.
Agree. If you want consistent, you know what you're getting with this guy. Not a tour regular, but not an unknown at this point. It's the birdie maker Baker, 7,500. This guy's tee to green automatic. Certainly a field where his talent will rise, fair price. I don't really have a big problem with it. The results haven't been great, but they haven't been awful either.
Yeah, he hurt me at Safeway. I really liked him there, missed the cut. But I'm with you. The numbers, and it's been this way every start, and he doesn't play a ton, but when he plays, he hits it great. And the price never really seems to adjust. Maybe it's because, like Grillo and Stanley, he can't putt, and he never really gets a decent finish. But yeah, you're not going to get better numbers for 7,500 or mid 7K than him. I got one for you a little bit cheaper that I really like, and I don't think a lot of people will play him. I don't think you'll guess him.
Is it Mark Anderson?
Not Mark. I have no idea who Mark Anderson.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 'cause I don't know who that is.
Room. I have no clue.
Doug Gim?
Doug Gim at 7,300.
Okay. Talk to me.
He was a guy that had a ton of amateur hype, number one amateur in the world. Played University of Texas, teammates Scotty Scheffler. He was one of the best amateur players, collegiate players around at the time. Came in, I don't want to say he came in with the same type of fanfare as guys like Morikawa, but I mean, he was highly touted amateur, just didn't really pan out to start off. But kind of caught my eye at Wyndham, even though he missed the cut. I always go back, I look at the missed cuts and see if anybody just really struck it well, even though they missed the cut. And he did. He gained 3.1 with the ball striking at Wyndham. And then he went to Safeway. He was T14, positive ball striking there, positive ball striking at the 3M. Things are turning around, and he's another highly touted guy. I don't think a ton of people will play him because if you look at the results, they're not really jumping off the page. But the ball striking has been better, and I think just big-time talent for 7,300.
Listen, yeah, and this is a guy, there were times where he was starting to get some steam and the price would have been a lot higher than it is now. He's starting to flash it. And I actually think him getting cut at Wyndham is a big boost if you like him here, because if he putted good there, he would come in probably with 3 straight top 20s or better, and people would be taking notice. I'm not saying he's totally ignored, but you look at it now, it's 18th, miscut 14th. That looks a lot worse than 18th, 12th, 14th. So keep an eye on him. I'm completely with you. This is the type of tournament for him. You know, it was God. When I was looking at the pricing, some names stood out, and then there was Kurt Kitayama, who's just like sitting there, and he feels overpriced and underpriced at the same time.
It's so funny that you mentioned him, and I was playing around with lineups, and I plugged in 5 guys that I really liked, and I was left with like 7,100, and I'm like, this is an awful price range. Like, I don't even like Kitayama, but I guess this is the guy I would play. So I'm like, let me retool. Plugged in like a different 5 guys, was left with 7,100 again, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, people like him. If you just looked at the recent results, I mean, there's nothing there to be excited about. He's done some work on the Euro Tour back, what was it, a year ago at this point, I believe. So a talented dude, probably more talented than the other players in this range, but I mean, recently just hasn't done too much. And so I don't love him, but you're probably going to look at my lineups and find him in there just because for some reason I leave myself with $7,100, and that's what I got.
It's a funnel price. Yeah, I mean, Uline is there. I'd love to talk him up. I don't really see much. His off the tee game is weak. Then there's a string of guys as we go to the 6K range. I'm going to include flat 7, who have been playing awful, and then I don't want to say randomly, but it kind of was random, have gotten it together. So JJ Spawn is first. He had done absolutely nothing in 2020. Literally, his best finish was 30th at the Farmers in January. 9th at the Safeway, gained 8.1 tee to green, irons leading the way. What do you make of that from the clouds?
I mean, we've seen it from him before, right? We've seen him go away. He's battled injuries, and I don't know if it's not always been stuff that he's been like, I'm hurt, I'm taking off 6 months. It's like we've seen him try to play through injuries and be awful. We've both been huge fans of him for a couple years now. Because when he plays well, he hits it great. I think I'm playing him because, like I said, we've seen this several times out of him going long stretches of playing awful, and then something just turns around, and then he goes through stretches of playing great where he's hitting it great. I like the course for him. He kind of fits in with the other guys. The short hitters have had success here. He's not a super long guy off the tee. I like it. I mean, we're long-term JJ Spawn guys, and I don't think it takes much to get us back on the bandwagon. So yeah, I'm going there.
This is a guy that I've been adamant, and I still believe this, that he had momentum derailed several times by injury. He was building towards stuff. This was a guy I thought was going to break through and win, and he had his chances, to be honest. And then he went away. That type of form, it's just, I know it comes out of nowhere and it could disappear out of nowhere, but just showing that he can still do that, I think warrants consideration in a field like this at flat 7.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, and we talk about this, and it's true in maybe a couple different sports, but you're only going to get one shot, right? It's like he's 7K in a terrible field.
Yeah.
And maybe he misses the cut, but if he plays well, the next time you see him, he's going to be 8,500 in the terrible field or 79.
And more popular.
Yeah, and more popular. So it's like we're only going to get one shot at this awful field at a great price. So I'm gonna go for it.
So, and listen, we have great viewers. I'm not saying we don't. Friend of the show, Michael Yarbrough, I hope I'm not butchering your last name, says, official, we have shot tracker.
Wow.
I don't know if that's true, but I'll take his word for it. I hope that is the case.
If he said official.
Yeah, he said official, and he put it in caps, so it's legit.
All right. That's
so
it. Yeah, we're just emptying the clip into the corral.
So now I definitely want to play JJ Spawn because now I can see it, what happens to him.
It adds so much to the experience just to see to have shot track. You wouldn't think it would, but I mean, just the shot 4 in the hole, shot 2 to the rough. That's nothing,
That's amateur hour.
Very
Speaking of, this guy's not amateur hour anymore. he makes JJ Spawn look consistent. Akshay Bhatia had done straight nothing. Turned pro, people were on him, 6 straight miscuts. Comes in 9th at Safeway, gains across the board. I still am a little skeptical. I think he's going to be way more popular than he should be.
I don't think I can go there. I gotta check some numbers on Bhatia. Is he the Pepperdine guy? I get these young guys.
Pepperdine guy.
Who's the Pepperdine guy?
I don't know.
One of them is the Pepperdine guy. I don't.
Akshay Bhatia. Let's see.
I'm trying to chalk up the good finish to being a California guy, but I don't. I could be totally.
Is he the I don't see anything about Pepperdine here.
Never mind. I'm just outing myself as a complete donkey right
I mean, Pepperdine, sweet campus, right on the beach.
No, I mean, I don't know. It's hard. I mean, these guys, when they've played so bad, it's hard for me to just hop on after one good result. I mean, I'm willing to do that with Spawn because we've seen him, go back and forth, play awful, play great, play awful, play great. Bhatia, I'm not just going to jump on after one good result.
Yeah, listen, we're going to see this. I think he's only 19. Yeah, he's 18. So like you're going to see results that are all over the place. He's got the talent. I think he's going to be a very good player. I'm not hating on it, but if he's like 10% owned, that's an easy pivot for me.
Yeah, he didn't even go to college.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He's so young.
I think Pga is the Pepperdine guy.
Pga.
That's what I'm going to refer to him as now.
Okay.
I have to come up with ways to remember to differentiate between some of these guys that my old brain just gets confused with. So.
Yeah, he went to Pepperdine, so good for him. Go Golden Wave or whatever they are. Any Hagee love? Bomber?
No.
All
right. God, I mean, I think this is a good just macro thing. There's below 7K awful players, not really any good plays that I see, and also you have to think of there's nobody to pay up for. Like, why are we gonna go below 7K so we can jam in like Corey Connors, Mac Hughes lineup? Like, so that's the thing that I think about. I mean, not only do I not really like anybody below 7K. It's like, okay, well, even if you do take a shot with one of these guys, where are you spending up for? And is that really smart to do? Like,
so I definitely agree with that. It's really to unlock combos. You have to really like Will Z. And even so, I don't know if you need to do that this week. There are a couple names that I just want to mention, and then we can get out of here. One, I got to start with this guy because I'm fairly certain maybe like a year or so. We've been doing the show for a while, but I'd say like a year ago, you recommended a guy, and I swear to God, I never, ever had heard of him. And his name was, I want to say it's this guy. It was Michael Glikic.
Michael Glikic, yeah.
He is now playing very well. He was 26th at the 3M, 59th at Wyndham, 14th at Safeway. Tee to green, though, has been positive in all of them, and it's actually been positive in his last 5. I mean, literally, the only time I ever heard this guy's name is I think you recommended him like way back in months and months ago, pre-COVID. Do you want to go back to your original here?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. I unearth these guys like Brendan Todd. I was on him like 5 years ago. I just see things in golfers that other people don't see. And a lot of times I'm way too early, and it's a detriment, honestly, because I never get paid off.
It's because you got to stick.
Yeah, he's fine, but I'm going to stick with the sentiment of what is that really, what are we really accomplishing by playing him? Do we see him contending, or are we just using him as a salary saver and a guy who can finish T25 or T30? Like, I mean, if you have a guy down here and you're like, yeah, I think this guy, if he gets hot, he can win, that's great. But it's like, if we're just trying to get a cut maker to open up other stuff, I just don't know if that's for me. But yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely underpriced in this field for how well he's played.
Yeah, I tend to agree. His name stood out for ball striking. DJ Trahan played well at Safeway, but it was all with the short game, and that was literally coming off 10 straight missed cuts. I don't do that. Affy Barnrat, I think, is the best player down here. His game is not in form though. He's missed about 7 or 8 in a row.
I got a wild one for you. A
Is
guy
it below these guys?
Yeah, that you've always been a fan of going back maybe a couple years.
Who, Streb?
Grayson Murray.
Oh my God.
The miscut at the Safeway. He hit it well. He hit it well at the Safeway.
Did he play all 30? For him, getting cut is actually good because normally he just withdraws.
He played all 36 holes, yes.
Okay.
Gained 3.52 with the ball striking. Is he no interest there, huh?
12th last year here. Man. That's someone I'll be honest, I didn't really consider just because when you look at him in a short-term view, it's impossible to get there because his form is awful. But when you take Grayson's game and this is a huge if, when he was playing better, this is the type of course he takes apart. Par fives, he can score, he makes enough putts, easy field. Maybe as like a true 1%er, but man, Grayson, like I said, when he plays bad, he just withdraws.
Yeah, well, if he's playing bad, he's playing bad.
He's playing bad. That's fair.
But I did the same thing. Like I said, I mean, he's missed so many cuts, but just like Doug Gim at the Wyndham, the only reason I found him is because I'm just wading through the Safeway data and guys that missed the cut that actually hit it really well, and he stuck out. And he's a guy that we've always kind of liked to play in this type of weak field, birdie fest.
But and he's won. He's like, listen, Grayson a couple years ago was like, all right, this guy's going to be, I'm not saying racking up majors, but like he's just going to be a tour regular and like a quality golfer. He had a string of top 20s at very respectable events.
I
wish Aaron Wise was here so badly so I could tout him. But he's not. Instead,
I got it. I mean, I honestly, below 7K, like I said, there's nobody I like. I don't really feel like there's real reason to go down here. Even clicking. I mean, great point, but it's like, what am I getting? It's like, all right, I'll plug him in, and now I'm going up from Will Gordon to, some other terrible player.
No, I think it's more what you want to do is you want to identify a handful of players down here that you, in a jam, might be comfortable with. And then when you build, if you land on them, you say, okay, at least I have that range covered. Doesn't mean you go to them necessarily. That's what I do, at least. Like, I want to know, okay, if I build and I have 6,500 left, what do I do if I cross that bridge? I would love to say Stefani, but he's just playing so poorly. I don't think I can get there. That's my plan this week. Just to wrap up what I'm really thinking of for my final thoughts is I think you just want to at least have a game plan with each price point, and just know in a field like this, I think it's kind of inverted where your top end guys are not going to be asked. It's not like, okay, I'm playing the top, they have to win, and then my cheapies need to make the cut. Like, your last guy can win this event, and then your best guy could easily get cut. It's just that type of upside down week.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's like as you go farther down the pricing sheet, guys are more appropriately priced or even better priced. Everybody up top. We say this every week at really weak fields. The expensive guys are overpriced, and then the guys at 7K and upper 6 are in the same spot as they always are. So they look like a value. But yeah, I actually like this week because there's not a lot of guys that I really like. And for me, I like that. I hate weeks at majors where it's like, I don't know who to play because they all feel like great plays. That's really hard for me because it's just, I don't know where to I feel like I don't know where to go here. It's like, I feel fairly confident in like a handful of guys. And I feel like I can get with only a few lineups, kind of cover the guys that I really like. Whereas it's like I have no clue at a U.S. Open whether it's going to be Rahm, DJ, JT, Rory, Bryson. It's like no clue. Here, I feel like I have a strong read on a couple guys, and I don't need that many lineups to kind of cover the bases that I want to cover.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And listen, there's a lot of names that bad form, they pop here and there that you can look to. We'll try to sort through those tomorrow. Chase Seifert came up. I think he's someone, again, you can look to. Tomorrow night, 8:30, me and Jason Roslin, we'll talk lineup construction, go through this field again and comb through and see what we can find. But listen, this is not the best week. I don't mean that for DFS, though. I actually really do think tournaments like this, if you have a line on a guy that you think, okay, maybe in some stronger fields, I've targeted him and he's coming 50th or something, this is the time to get an outright winner, both on the DFS side or the betting side. I assume, Tim, you feel that way with betting. Like, this is the type of field you could see a 200-1 shot win.
Oh, yeah. I love fields like this for betting. And I'm going to go back to the same thing as with majors. I mean, with majors, it's always, every major almost seems like it's won by a guy at, 25-1 or 40-1 or cheaper. I mean, these, it's like anybody
could win.
Anybody. So you get some really great prices. I mean, it's 100-1, 200-1 is not uncommon to win an event like this,
Nope.
which makes it really interesting. So yeah, I mean, it should be a fun week. The contests are decent. If there's going to be shot tracker, yeah. Seems like DraftKings finally, like, this seems like a classic spot where DraftKings would have in the past made the contest completely terrible. They would have filled by Tuesday afternoon and everyone would have been pissed off. It seems like they actually got it right for once.
Yeah, they pumped it up and it's good. Listen, whoever wins a ton of money, they're not going to care that they won it at the Corrales. Like, the U.S. Open, the Corrales, I don't care which GPP I take down. You just want to take one down. So on that note, we appreciate you guys stopping in, even for, let's be honest, not the best event of the year for golf, but there's going to be plenty more. On your way out, hit the like button, subscribe, notification bell. You guys know the drill. Anything comes up, you have questions, you find me, Jazzraz DFS. Find Tim, Fantasy Golfman, on Twitter. We'll see you inside Slack soon enough. Good luck, everyone. See you tomorrow night.